So we have already discussed how we can validate a pipeline, right? I mean, there is this validate pipeline option
Hmm.
where you will be seeing the output in a dark green mode, and you will be seeing the data also.
Hmm.
And if you validate that, it will be showing as in red color also, showing the particular error. So using the validate option itself, you will be debugging the values or the contents of each snap. Okay, if there are any failures, it will show you in red. Otherwise, it will provide you with the results. Let's say you want to debug when you run it. Okay,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
get this play option and you want to see what is the particular result of this pipeline. You can go to dashboard and see the statistics and open the status bar there, and you will be able to see the particular if there are any errors or something, you will be able to debug those, and
Hmm.
you can make the particular changes to the pipeline. So these two options are available.
Okay. So any other thing we can facing as a connected the snaps. So yeah, we can connected with the validation, and when we start running, so we can monitor into the act, activity tab. So rather than two option, is there any error or issue in future we have facing into?
Yeah, that's the only two ways you have.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what are the different tools available in Snaplogic for integration?
What is that? What is your question?
What are the different tools available in Snaplogic for integrations?
What are the different tools within Snaplogic? So if you could go back to your 2 hour sessions till now, you will be able to understand there are no tools. Snaplogic is a tool, okay, which we will use to integrate the source and target systems. So there are no other tools within Snaplogic. There are different components. They are not tools.
Okay,
Uh, so Snaplogic within Snaplogic, using the Snaplogic itself, we will try to integrate particular systems or different systems actually.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm. Any more questions, team?
Yeah, hi Manoj. I have one question.
Session, you are not audible actually.
Yeah, I have one question.
Yeah, yeah, please.
Actually, we have seen that uh, the common pipelines in pattern and the shared space.
Right.
So, what is the difference between shared space and pattern?
Okay, that's a good question actually. So a pattern is something. Okay, we were discussing that Snaplogic team will give us, or a team, particularly, um, which are assigned to design a pattern, will be provided along with the Snaplogic. Let's say I am a customer. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to have a file to SQL Server or Oracle connection readily available. Okay, so that I can just use that. Okay, and I
Okay.
can have it in any of the pipelines. Okay, so what Snaplogic will do is they will provide that in a pattern. Okay, file to SQL Server likewise. Once we get that pipeline, okay, we will do our necessary modifications to the the already available pipeline. Okay,
Okay.
we will do modifications and updates, but they will give a template to you. Okay, you have to create your connections and everything, but they will give you a template. We will just copy the template to our project space and the project, and then we will do our modifications necessarily to the business logic that we have right now, and then we will go and execute and see the results. So that is the basic functionality of a pattern. What is the difference that we have with the shade? So as discussed in the shade, I mean about the shade we have discussed yesterday, the shade space is something let's say if a pipeline is placed in the shared space, the top level shared space under the project space of shared space, that pipeline will be available under all the available project spaces. Let's say if we create XYZ project space, it will be available to that project space as well. Right? That's what we have discussed. Let's say if a pipeline that we have put under the project, okay, project shade, there are two shades we have seen.
Yeah.
So that pipeline will be available for all the projects, right? All the
Right.
projects. So the difference here is the pattern is given already readily available. Okay, it's just a template. So once we have the pattern, let's say if we want to use it, okay, and if we want that to be readily available for all the project spaces, we will have that pattern copied to the shared space, top level shared space. Or let's say if that only, I mean, if we only want that to be having within a single project space, and every project under that single project space does want to refer to that, then we will copy that pattern into the project shade.
Okay.
You got my point, Shashank?
Yeah.
So you just need to remember that pattern is a template, okay, which
Yeah.
will be given readily, a template which can be modified according to the business need. So that we have to copy into our any of the project space projects, right? So let's say if
Right.
I put that into the shade project space, okay, shade
Okay.
project space, it will be available for all the project spaces. Let's say if that pattern that we put it under the project shade, it will be available for all the projects.
Okay.
Make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
So, just for curiosity, my next question is: can we consider project space similar to directories?
Yeah, we can say that. Directory, and
It
under that
is
directory, project is a folder, and each pipeline is a files. You can say that. I mean,
okay.
just to map. Yeah, you can say that.
Similar to. Yeah.
Similar to. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Manoj.
Yeah.
Sir, hello.
Yeah, please.
I have a query about task.
Okay.
We create the task and flit all. After two option debug. What mean debug and both the selected debug option? What's mean debug? Because I can understand
I did not get your question still.
about task. We create the task and flit all and down of after two option debug.
Bilal will do one thing. At end of the session, I'll share my screen and we'll go to the task, and I will explain you your question. I'll try to understand your question.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah. Thank you. So, as there are no more questions, so let's go ahead with the session. So, yesterday's session is all about, I hope you can see my screen, right? Can
Yeah.
some-
Yeah,
Okay.
got
So yesterday's session is altogether mostly about the different subcomponents that are available within the designer, right? We have discussed about play buttons, run statistics, save, validate, few parameters or few attributes of pipeline properties, how we can add the nodes, how we can export a pipeline into a SLV pipeline or a print, how we can print it out. We will discuss this today now. Uh, this is to create a task, trigger task, schedule task, or ultra task. They have given this option also in the designer itself directly. We don't need to maybe necessarily go to manager and go and create it. We can create it here also. This is the copy, and I have given you this compare option also. How we can compare one pipeline to the another pipeline, right? So let's say if we have different snaplexes available, from this drop down we can select one of the snaplex. But as this is the trial version, we have only one Snaplex, that is Cloudplex. We might be having different Cloudplex names or Groundplex names according to the customers. Okay.
So
How we can
in what all scenarios the compare will be used?
compare is just when, let's say, there are, for example, there is this file to SQL server, and this is available in different projects within a project space, let's say.
Mhm.
For example, by someone has copied it, or maybe there is some problem. Someone by default they have done something like that. So that from one project space or within a project, if we have a pipeline with the same logic, then we can use this compare to see what are all the different snaps that is there, uh, and is there any differences between the snaps and the configurations that we have done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like it was basically comparing with the history, right? So can we see any pipeline history, like what all changes have made since last sale?
Uh, Pipeline history comes to versioning actually. So where we basically maintain the history of the pipelines, but this compare is with the actual pipelines itself, not the the pipelines within the same project or different project space. Uh, we have to compare. I mean, we will be able to compare. That's it. History comes in the versioning of the pipelines.
So by default, uh, does Snaplogic maintain the versioning?
No, we have to create. I mean, I will be discussing this topic. I have not done that. We have to create these versions actually.
Okay.
We
So what one use case which I can see here, like for this comparison, right? Suppose we
right.
have a different organization, right? One
Mhm.
is the dev environment, another is the production, right? So
Mhm.
if you want to just compare, like what is the major difference that we have in dev and the production organization, right?
Basically, we won't be having a production environment access directly. So what basically
So
the yeah,
let's see the QA instead of production,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, could be. So the other options, what we basically do in live is we will take the pipeline basically maybe from production to download it. We will be having a different project space just for these sort of pipelines. We will just import that to the dev environment and then compare. So that could be another option also, because environment access is also necessary. So yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So we have discussed about this importing of a pipeline, how we can import the SLP file and everything, how we can create a pipeline by clicking on this plus, how we can add it. So how we can create a different pipelines and how we can rename using a pipeline parameter section, right? Uh, if I delete everything, there will be a default name that is given by the Snaplogic itself. So if I reclose, try to close it again, it will provide me another thing. It has started from zero, maybe now it will try to increase, give me some sequence of number with the default names and everything. So this is how it will do, right? Different subcomponents, like what is snap catalog, pipelines, patterns, within these snaps there are these different types. So how we can group it by snap pack type and none, we have all discussed about this, right? How we can search for a specific snap, or otherwise if we know the snap itself directly, we can go to that section and drag it down or something. So right. So I hope we are clear till then, right? How this is something, maximize, minimize, and you know pipeline fit. Fit the pipeline to the screen size. These three options also we have discussed. Correct. So now today, as said, as we have already discussed all about this, I will be discussing about this option, which is called pipeline versions. So, for example, we have already created few pipelines here, some of the pipelines. So let me go and take this out. Okay. So now, for some reason, I feel that this is the actual working logic. Okay. And I feel that there is some issue with that, and I believe I need this configuration maybe in future. Let's say this is working fine, but for some reason I see an issue, maybe a couple of days after or something, for example, just for example, okay? And in that case, I believe that this would work some point of time. Let me go and change my code accordingly and see will that be working or not. So now I have 4 snaps and I believe that there is an error, there will be an error with the mapper. And I believe that, okay, this will be working for sure. So I want to trial out different options on this pipeline itself. So then in case I feel that, okay, this would be working, I have 2 options. One is to download this option just for the future reference. Let's say if I do any updates here, the earlier version or earlier coding will be gone, right? Because we are overwriting everything every time. So now it is empty. Let's say if I give some values to this, right, it will be overwritten, right? But I just want to maintain that earlier version also. Let's say that empty version. Likewise, I mean, I don't want this. This is the earlier version, but now I have updated it to some random string. So if I want to maintain that earlier version, and let's say in future I want to refer to that, maybe that could be useful, or that is the actual working pipeline in future. So what I will do is I have 2 options. One thing is I will download this pipeline and I will maintain this within my local, right? I will go and export this pipeline and it will be maintained in this in my local, because Snaplogic is anyway giving me this date while I download it, right? In future, I will be able to understand that, okay, on 13th, I have downloaded it. This could be something which will be useful. What I will do is I will come again and I will import to the separate project space. I can see. So that is one thing that we can maintain a history within by using our local and this export option. Let's say I don't want to maintain within my local, because in my local there could be many things that are being there, like different things that I download. Basically I may lose the track, right? How could I know when I have downloaded it? I have to go to download section and I have to see everything. That could be a heavy task, right? I have to go through everything, each and everything. Then I have to see, is this the pipeline that I want to import or not? So that is a small pitfall that we have with downloading. So Snaplogic, keeping this mind, they have given this option where we can create a versions. Versions is nothing but maintaining a history of the pipelines. So how I can maintain a history of this pipeline? Let's say, as said, this is the actual working pipeline and I want to do some modifications to this pipeline. What I'll do is I'll just click on this. Okay. It will ask me to create a version and give me notes. Okay. If you can see the tag, this is the tag that is being given. Version 1 created by username at what time? 4:30, 13/4/2023 at 8:25 a.m. Okay. So what will be the, I mean, I have to provide some notes for my future reference, but this is not mandatory, but tags is mandatory, and that will be given by the Snaplogic itself by default. We mostly won't change it, but we have an option to edit also. Let's say if we have any particular versioning name or any particular versioning pattern that you are following with your company, then you can put it out here. Otherwise, default option of Snaplogic would be enough for us. So let's say the pipeline that I have now, I want to create a version for that, and I want to give the notes as well, like working version with no configuration in the snaps. We have not done any configurations. So what I will do is I will just click on it. New version successfully created. Okay, Snaplogic will create a new version for us, right? So I don't see any difference. I mean, I don't find out where that actual version has created. Actually, where Snaplogic will store is, if I click on this button again, once you create that, if you go to the versions tab, it will show you the version that you have created. So I have created a version And this is the note that I have given. Working version with no configuration in the steps. So I can do two things here. There are two options that are being given by the Snaplogic. One is open the pipeline and see what do I mean, what did I do? Okay, just open it. So it has opened it. How could I know that it has opened? You do not have permission to edit this pipeline. Why I did not have a permission to edit this pipeline? Because this is a version that I have created at some point of time. If I want to change this, I have to revert the particular code that is being written already there. I mean, update or overwrite the actual code that is already there. Okay, so just to be more clear on this, so if we want to revert to our current instance, we can come to this current instance. This is the actual code we have now. Open it. Okay, this is the current instance that I can use it. Let me do some updates to this pipeline. Okay, I have done some updates to this pipeline because I believe there is some problem. So I have added few more snaps also. Okay, I'm just doing it in random. Don't worry about the logic and how I'm able to do this all this. Okay, I'm just adding some default snaps. That's it. So this is the updated pipeline, and earlier one did not have the copy and union. So now if I can go and see the previous version, if I were open it, it will provide me the previous version. Okay, these are the 4 snaps that we have. We can see what configuration we have done. Okay, it is in read mode. You cannot edit the pipeline because it is a version. Okay, let's say I feel that current instance is not working. It's not the actual logic that I want, but the earlier version that I have created with no configuration, that is the actual one I needed. So what I can do, I go back and revert it. So once I click the revert, the actual changes that are in the pipeline will be gone, right? Actual changes in the sense. So let me come to the current instance. So this is the current instance. So I have made changes to changes to the pipeline by adding copy and union to this pipeline. So I feel this is the actual thing that I need to do according to the business logic. But when I was testing, or maybe when there is a review happened by the customer, they see that this is not useful and we should not do it like this. As I have created the version already, so what I will do is I will go and have two options. One is open, just to read in a read mode, see the pipeline. You cannot edit it. If we want to edit it, we have to revert it. This revert option, what it will do is it will overwrite the existing logic or the pipeline, the updates that we have done till now. So if I click on the revert, click OK to permanently replace the current instance with version 1. Current instance with, in the sense, the copy and union that I have added to the pipeline will be gone forever. So if I click cancel, it will just cancel out. Otherwise, if I click OK, it will replace. Okay. Now, even though if we go and see what is the actual pipeline logic, this is the one that is being there. That copy and union has gone because we have overwritten with the version 1, the current instance with the version 1. So let's say if I want to create another version also, I can create by giving some different nodes. As we have reverted, we might feel that version also go. I mean, that will be gone also. No. Once we create that, it will be available forever for some time till the pipeline got deleted. Okay. This versioning is only for this pipeline. Okay. Let's say if I go to manager and if I delete this pipeline for some reason, right, there is this delete option for me. So if I just go and delete this, were you able to see the pipeline? No. If there is no pipeline, there are no versions also. So this this versioning is directly interlinked with the pipeline. If we don't have a pipeline, okay, we will not be able to see the versions also. The versions will also be gone when we delete a pipeline. Okay, this is the main problem that we have with Snaplogic. Snaplogic will not maintain the history of the pipelines based on, I mean, it's not global. It's completely dependent on the pipeline. So if the pipeline is available, till the time the pipeline is available, the versions can be created any number of times. The versions, let's say there are 10 versions that we have created on this pipeline. The versions till now we have created will be gone forever. Let's say if we delete that pipeline. Okay, until and unless we don't delete the pipeline, the versions will be available. If we delete the pipeline, the versions will also be gone. We will not know what we have done till now. So
Sir,
hello, hello,
hello, sir.
yeah, hello, someone has a question.
How we can restore a deleted pipeline?
Deleted pipeline can be restored by Snaplogic admin if we have access in Snaplogic manager in one of the section where you can able to see the deleted pipelines also, right? If you can see asset delete, right, activity log, asset delete.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Snaplogic admins will have that access to revert it back, but we can see the activity, who has deleted what.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So my point of showing the deletion option is, if we delete that, the history or the versions that we have created till now will also be gone. So it is directly interlinked with the pipeline, and version only be created on top of the pipeline itself. If we don't have pipeline, there is no version. Done. Okay. So if we go and look at the other sections that we have here, I have covered what is the how we can create a version, and this is the default name that is given. We can have any name here. There is no problem. Something. Okay, it will create a version. I can give any notes according to the change that I have. If I have any versions, that will be listed out here. Otherwise, it will be empty. Okay, if I don't have any versions, that will be empty. So that is how we create maintain a history, or create versions or maintain versions within Snaplogic. But one pitfall or one main drawback we have with this is, once we delete the pipeline, versions will be gone.
So Manoj, so if we do the reward, it will get replaced or overwrite on current
Correct.
pipeline, right?
Correct.
So could we create any copy or maybe history of existing pipeline, or will it required in any case in the future
Yes,
cases?
yes, it is required to create a versions.
Okay, so
It is required.
we can't
So
keep any copy or history, na?
what you can do is, let's say I have downloaded
Yeah.
this yesterday. So this is the pipeline, right?
Yeah.
So what I will do is, I will go and create a version for this. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
I will do some updates to this as I did earlier. Okay, let me just add some things. Let's say this is the only change that is done.
Yeah.
Okay, and I feel I want to revert it back to this option,
Mhm.
but I also feel that the current instance might work. What I will do is, I will create another version with this working version with
Okay.
updated code. Okay, so
Yeah.
if we do this, okay, the changes code will also be created in a version,
Right.
and the
Right.
earlier version will also be there in a version. We will
So
go and revert
basic,
to the first
yeah.
one.
So meanwhile, we will make the copy of the that
Right. So copies are
particular one, and we'll
available in version 2.
yes. Okay.
Makes sense. So if I want to revert it, I'll press OK, and it will revert me to the earlier version, and I can see the success. I mean the updated code version also. And in future, I want to revert it to this. I will come back to this.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I hope we are clear on the pipeline versions and what is the purpose of pipeline versions and how we can create a version, how we can revert back, and how we can open and see the version, right?
Yes.
Okay. So going further, I have discussed about all the things mostly here, but there is this section where we have our own profile maintenance or notifications or user settings can be handled. Uh, so if we can see, I will just go through these as well. I mean, these are not, most of the things are not much important, but just there is this user settings tab which will be important for us. I'll just go through the things for your understanding. So user profile, if we click on this will be given our user profile. What is our first name, last name, and how when we have created this Snaplogic version for this user, and what is the updated time. I mean, when did we update the pipeline last time? Okay, or when did we use the Snaplogic last time? This is what that is being given in the user profile. Okay, and the other things is notifications. Let's say from Snaplogic, if there are any notifications for me, global notifications, they will send out some global notifications that Snaplogic will be down this time or something. Okay, there are some major updates that are going in Snaplogic, so they will send out a notifications to everyone who is accessing Snaplogic, so that they will ensure that okay, there is something that is going to happen. Snaplogic admins and teams using Snaplogic will take care of their pipelines, or maybe maintain some history just to not have any impact based on these notifications. Okay, and the other thing is help. There is this documentation that is available within the Snaplogic itself. We will be able to search for some specific things within snaps, and we will be able to go through the documentation panel that is given here. Okay, just for our purpose, let's say there is some options that is there in NetSuite. I was not able to understand what is that. I will go to the product documentation. I will search for the NetSuite upset, and then I will be able to see what is the particular usage, or particular that overflow or that field usage going to the product documentation. Okay, these are all interlinked to those. Okay, there is no big difference between each and everything. So you can just, once you have the access to the trial version, you will be able to go through and see what do I mean all this. Okay, so the other thing is privacy policy. So privacy policy is something given to the Snaplogic. So if you can go through all these things, it's not mandatory, but it's just for your information. What is Snaplogic doing, and how it is maintaining our privacy while dealing data through internet and everything, you will be able to see. Okay, using these privacy policies and terms that they have. Okay, this is this logout option. If we click on logout, it will just log out. So these are the other things. The major thing that can impact our pipeline is user settings. So if we click on user settings, there are multiple options here. Okay, so if I click on the auto validation, if we can, I mean, I'm able to hover on it and it is giving some description for me. Automatically validate a pipeline after saving. Right? If I click on this, pipeline will automatically validate and give me the results. Okay, if I uncheck this, it will wait for me to go and hit this V option. Till then it will not give me any result. So for example, let me just click this and save this. Okay, let me just save this. I will not click this. So see, it is just done that automatically. Let me just save it. See, it is automatically validating by itself. it will just trigger based on my save. Once I click save, it will just automatically validate. But I have an option to disable that. If I just disable this checkbox, okay, save it out. If I see, it is not validating itself. I have to do it myself manually. So I have to click this, then only it will validate. Okay, that automatic validation can be handled using this auto validate, check in or check out. The other thing is dynamic validation. So, for example, let me show you how this affects. So there is this, if you can see, I'm adding one more tab. If you can see, there is this that validation option that is going on. If you can see that, can you see the tick? So if I don't give anything, it is giving me some error, missing property value, or it is trying to validate. If you can see that, that validation option that is going there. So that is nothing but auto validate. So if you can see, I mean, not auto validation, the other option actually. Let me just open that for you. Dynamic validation, sorry, dynamic validation. So it is trying to validate before giving, I am giving some value. Actually, there is this value that I have given, it has turned into tick mark green, which says that it is okay now. So Snaplogic itself is validating validating the value, okay, that we have given dynamically. That's what the dynamic validation does. So if I am not giving some values, if I am giving some not giving values or some random values, it will show me an error. This is this is what it does. I mean, ks something something is undefined. This is not the value that I'm expecting. That dynamic validation will be done by the Snaplogic itself, whether it is correct. If it is correct, it will give me that tick mark. If it is not, it will show me this sort of error. So I have showed you this example with Mapper. This could be done within any of the snaps that is available there. Okay. So maybe let's say this is the mandatory field. Let's say I have removed this. See, it is trying to validate it. See, it has done me some dynamic validation, and it is saying that invalid type string for this property. Timeout, what they have done is they have added this dynamic validation. I cannot give a string here. I can only give a number, because timeout will be happened in minutes, seconds, or hours, right? Those are numbers. So if I give it correctly, it is giving me this tick mark. Make sense? So that is what I mean by dynamic validation. So let's say if I go here and stop the dynamic validation, see, I have clicked on it. It is not providing me any validation option here. It should give me some validation option, right? I have given this also, XYZ. Earlier, it has given me the tick mark. As I have stopped that, it is not giving me any tick mark now. See, it is not giving me, or it is not validating the values automatically, because that dynamic validation we have stopped. Right? We were able to understand these two options, right? So now the next setting, these three are related to validation. Okay, these three are related to validation. We have discussed all these two. Now the last option is preview document count. So I have told you that earlier also, in validation we can only see some set of records only. If you remember my session on validation and running the pipeline, I said while running the pipeline, we can see the total number of records passing through the snaps. But in validation, there will be that green color part that will be highlighted at the end of the snap. We can only see a subset or a small number of the records as an output. So I told you that on the day maximum we can see up to 2000 records, if we remember. I mean, if you go back to my session earlier and you can remember that, I told you that in validation, a maximum of 2000 records can be seen, right? So to handle that option, this is where I have the trigger for that. So if I click on this, there will be different list of values that is being given. So I said a maximum of 2000 records that we can see, but by using this preview document count, by default Snaplogic will be put it out to 50. Okay, by default Snaplogic, what it will do is, once you create this Snaplogic version to you, or I mean Snaplogic instance to you, by default Snaplogic will put you at 50. It will try to give you a record count of 50. Okay, but as a user, I can change it to 1 or 2 or 10 or 20, okay, or 100. Let me show you a small example here. So let's say I have put this preview document count to 1, okay, save it. And I have a mapper. Uh, don't worry about it. Don't just worry what I am trying to do here. Just see. Oh, what happened. I wasn't able to open this. Okay, for some reason I am unable to open this. Let me. It has to open actually, but for some reason it is not opening. What I can use. Okay. Just for example, assume that these are two records coming from two different snaps. Okay. Just assume that. And don't worry about how I was able to map all this and everything. I will let you know. So I will go to the default setting of Snaplogic. I will put it to 50 maybe. Okay. So if I validate and see, if I validate this option and see, okay, I have one record here. I have one record here. A total of two records I am able to see, right? I have given XYZ here. I have given MAC here, right? So I can see two records. But let's say in user settings, what I have done is only show me the record count of 1. I am revalidating it. So what it will do is it will limit me to only one record. See, earlier we were able to see that XYZ also, right? But now I have limited my option in the user settings to show me only one record. Let's say if I click it on to two records, as there are only two records, we will be able to see that. Now we will be able to see our two records. Why? Because we have set it out to 2, and the input number of records that we have is only 2. Make sense? Don't worry about this code that I have done. Just try to validate that with the things that we have done. How it is able to manage the pipeline record count using this preview documents count. So likewise, let's say there are hundreds, 100 records, and if I want to only see the 10 records, I can put it to 10, and the output of each snap will be 10. Okay, if there are any number of if there are more than 10, that will not come. Only 10 records will come because we have set it to 10 here. Make sense? Any questions we have on this? On the 3 options that we have discussed: auto validate, dynamic validation, and the preview document count. Are we good, or do we have any questions? Okay, let me go to this section also. So,
Sir,
yeah, please.
only we can see 10 count.
Your voice is not audible actually.
You say I have only, I can see only 10 number, 10 preview document count. Only 10.
Yeah, you will be only see the number that you have put it out here in the document count. I mean, output of the snaps actually. If we put it to 20, there will be 20 records only, even though the record count is greater than 20. From input, you are getting more than 20, but in this configuration, what you have done is, while validation, show me only 20 records. So it will limit the record counts to 20. Or record, the set of records that is going to show in the validation result is only 20.
Okay, only limit 20 and we can see.
Right, yeah. I mean, if you can put it to 2000, till 2000 records, you can see. If there are 3000 records, last 1000 records or some random 1000 records, you will not be see, but output you can see it for 2000 records only.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So the other thing is Iris integration assistant. So these are some recommendations or some check boxes that we can deal with that. So what is an Iris? Iris an integration assistant, which is an AI actually. Within Snaplogic, we are using that AI just to give the recommendations for us, right? So if I click on this, if I click the checkbox, then only it will give me the Snap recommendation. If I click on this, then only it will give me the pipeline recommendation. If I click on this, it will only give me the expression recommendations. Okay. If I click on this, then only it will give me the snap configuration recommendations, and it will give me the pattern related configurations. So these things, the configuration related things on this on Iris is just a high level. Mostly when we go deep into the Snaplogic, we won't be able to, or we will not worry about what is there in the integration assistant and everything, because we ourselves will know what is the account that we are going to create, what is the next step that we are going to use, what is the pipeline that we are going to use, everything we can decide. But these things are by default settings that is given by the Snaplogic for us. If we disable it, it will not give us the recommendation. In our earlier sessions, we have discussed that it is giving us the snap recommendations. Likewise, it will give us the pipeline recommendations also, right? So these are different things. In future, maybe when we come to that point, I will discuss. But for your information now, so Iris recommendations can also be managed using these options. Okay, the checkbox. If I uncheck that, it will not give me the snap recommendations. In our last session, when I was discussing that, it was automatically giving the next snap to me. I was able to build it up based on that. Likewise, it will not give me the snap recommendation if I uncheck that. Same thing with pipeline recommendation, expression recommendation. Expression in the sense, expression within a snap. So basically we write expressions within a snap. So when we come to the point where expression is needed, you will understand yourself more on that. But just now, I mean, for now, try to remember that expression recommendation can also be managed for Iris, and by clicking this checkbox or by enabling it, we can able to see that as well. Okay, so according to our necessity, according to the developer necessity, we can have it or not. Let's say as a developer, I don't want auto validate. I don't basically use. I basically check it out. In the sense, I don't check this box at all because I don't like my pipeline to validate whenever I save it, because I do multiple savings in between. I don't want this. Okay, I need dynamic validations because whenever I write some code, it will give me whether it is correct or not according to the input that I am given there. So this is useful for me. So I have kept it. I have kept this 2000 records. Maybe I will kept it to 50 just for now. So these are developer assisted. I mean, this will be used for our development assistance. This will not impact the end customer at all. These are for our development assistant itself. So let's say you are developing a pipeline and you can have your settings according to yourself. You can remove everything and you can have some things, and you can have everything checked in and have your development done.
Manoj, if there is a more than 2000, then what will?
More than 2000, it will only show 2000 in validation. I mean that V option is there, right? If you can see here, the tick box, why it has
So
got to tick
what?
box. Yeah,
Suppose that it's 2500. So what about remaining 500?
500 it will not show us, because for validation is something for the debugging purpose, as I told you earlier, just to see the data is coming or not according to my changes that I have done in some of the snaps. So once I feel that okay, for the 2000 records it is coming correctly, then what I will go do is I will go and run. So in the run, 2500 documents will all the records will come, not only 2500 records. Let's say if you have 1 million records, all records will come. So validation, let's say you as a developer, you cannot validate each record of 1 million, correct?
Yeah. So how
So
will
in
we
that
go
case,
through with that 500? I'm saying.
it will not show you. I mean, though Snaplogic will not show you in the validation mode.
Okay. So only in validation.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So I'm showing you already this tick box.
Yeah.
This is the validation option. In validation option, it is directly linked to the validation option. It will only show you 2000 records in the validation option or the debugging mode.
Okay. And
While
one thing more,
running,
there is a under the user profile there is a GitHub authentication option. So what is mean by that?
that is something advanced. I will let you know. You don't
Okay.
require it now. You will let you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So anyone has any questions on this user settings? So opt-in features, I will let you know when times comes. I will let you know. So basics thing, the main important thing that we need to understand from this settings is this validation part. Because when you do the validation, right, these will affect your pipeline development. Based on these things, you can be able to develop or go through the transition smoothly. I mean, snap by snap, you can do your transition smoothly. So the main thing we need to worry about this validation part. These things, something that the recommendation that is given by the Iris, but these does not affect much our pipeline development. The major thing that we need to understand is the validation part. This opt-in features will let you know. Okay, I will let you know in future when the time comes. Are we able to get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have covered almost everything. So few things that you need to go to the documentation and see. We cannot explain everything. What is privacy policy and how the help guide will help you. The major thing here is user settings, and in user settings, that validate option is the most important thing. validate. The options given under validate are the most important thing, which will impact our development, which will have the direct impact on our development. According to our settings or according to our need, we can just have it accordingly. Make sense? So now in this Snaplogic Designer, 95% of the things that we have covered already. Everything, almost everything we have covered. We have left a small bits and pieces. Now that will not affect your Snaplogic development, or going further that will not have any weightage. But the 95% of the things that we have discussed till now are the major things. I hope we are clear on those. Right? Am I clear? So we have covered all the subcomponents mostly within the designer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So as we have covered all the components, everything. Okay. We will try and see how we can create a pipeline actually. Okay. How we can generally create a pipeline. So creating a pipeline, how we can create. So basically, just let's say you have to create a pipeline. So what is the major thing that you want to do before creating a pipeline? Gathering the requirements. So the highlighted part is gathering the requirements. So I mean, without letting you know, understand what do I need to develop, can you create a pipeline? No. What do I mean by gathering a requirement? Requirement is nothing but for customer, what does he want me to develop in Snaplogic? In the sense, what does he want me to connect as a source, get the data from the source and push it to the target? What is the target and source here? Correct? Right?
Yes.
So that is what gathering the requirements. Okay. So once we are done gathering our requirements, the next step are follows. To create a pipeline, what we have to do, first thing, go and click on plus, right? Create, add a pipeline. Correct? Then what do we do? Go to the snaps. Let's say my source and destinations are Salesforce and Workday. I want to do a transition, or transfer of data from Salesforce to Workday. Those are two external systems. So I will add those snaps accordingly. Right? Correct? I will take those snaps and I will add them accordingly. Right? Configure the snaps. What do I mean by configuration? So if I open a snap, okay, there are different sub components that are available. Like we have different subcomponents within the designer, within a snap also there are different components, different subcomponents that we have. Okay. Main things to remember are settings, views, and info. In 100% of the snaps, like in every snap, you will be able to find three sections. One is settings section, views section, info section. Okay, these three are the common sections that is available in each and every snap. Okay, the other thing that is highlighted in this snap is account. Account snap is available for the source and target snaps only. Make sense? So if I go to and click on type, okay, what are the how you can identify what is source and destination snapbacks? In the read, there will be source snaps. In the write, there will be a destination snaps. So I will take a snap from read and I will do some transformations using the other four things. I will do the writing by using the write snapback, right? So Salesforce, this has come from Salesforce read. So this read has come from here. If we can go directly go and search for that, the Salesforce section. So series, I have taken this. So it has came from the read section. So likewise, if I want to write, or the destination snaps will be available within write. So I'm speaking about this account section, right? This account section only available for source and target system. In the sense, the snaps in read and write will have this account tab. The other sections like parse, transform, flow, and format will not have the accounts tab. If I go to that parse, and if let's say, what is the CSV parse? Okay, let me go and add this. Okay, open this. Can you see? Only 3 tabs are available: settings, views, and info. Okay, let me show you a different snap from different things. Uh, let me get this aggregate snap. Can you see? Settings, views, and info. Let me go and get some from flow. So only 3 tabs: settings, views, and info. Let me get you something other than this. So format, settings, views, and info. So as I said, every snap in the catalog that is here will be having those 3 tabs. What are the 3 tabs? Settings, views, and info common. The only tab that is going to added for other snaps, like from the read and write, I mean from source, which is read, and destination from write, the only tab is accounts. Accounts section will be the extra thing that will be added into this. Okay, we are able to see a bit of information about these 4 in future, but for now, just remember that the read and write snaps will have extra tab, and that is called account. Okay, I will let you know the purpose of each thing while going further, but for now, just remember that read and write snap packs will have the accounts tab added, but the other things will be having only three things, or 3 components, or 3 sub components, as we call: settings, views, and info. Make sense? So now they are talking about this configuration of snaps, right? So we do the configuration in the account tabs, or settings tabs, views, info, right? We will take the snap, we will open it, we will do our configuration in each of the tab. Okay, mostly in other 4 we will be looking at only 3 tabs, and we will make the changes necessary. And if we go to source and destination, the other important thing will be added is the account. So that account configuration will be done also. So what do they mean by here? They will just have the configuration once the snaps are added to the pipeline or editor section, right? So once that is done, what we will do is, we will, let's say, let me just try and delete everything. We will try to connect all the snaps. I will show you an example directly. So what we have done here, we have connected our snaps directly, right? So this has 4, and these are the configurations that we need to do, and then we will connect our snaps, right? And then last, save the pipeline. Save the pipeline. So are we able to understand the flow? To create a pipeline, click on plus, it will give us a space, go to the editor, and the change the pipeline name if we want to. Okay, get the snaps from the snaps section or the snaps catalog, open the snaps, and configure our snaps according to our needs. This configuration will be discussed in future. So the next snaps, add it and link them, and create a pipeline, save it. Then after the save, you can validate or run. Okay, they have given this point also, like after you create pipelines, test them manually. Test them manually in the sense, validate them to see the document count that you have put in the user settings as a record count. Those outputs will be seen, and once you feel that okay, they are looking good, you can run your pipeline and test your pipeline. The complete set of records will become, and you can see that records has been inserted into the SQL server or something. Make sense? Any questions we have on creating a pipeline?
Yeah, hi Manoj. So why having the account section in only read and write?
So what when do I go for the read section? So read section is nothing but a source, I'm saying, right? So to connect to the source, I am telling you earlier also, we need a username and password or a metadata information to connect to that, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So for that information to be created, we need a account. So we will be creating our username and password in the account using different authentication methods that is there. We will give our username and password. If you can see, username and password. So that
Yeah.
metadata information or the connection requirements will be created in this account. Okay. Once that account is set, then only it will go and interact with the source or destination systems. It will try to get or push the data into that. Make sense? The other
Yeah.
tab does not have that account because it doesn't require the other snaps in between. Let's say there are 3 snaps I have added, for example, in this pipeline, right? Source will have the account, destination will have the account. Other 3 snaps is not required because they are not trying to connect to any other external systems. So this snap will connect to the read system and it will give me the result, right? And these 3 snaps does not require because the data is already came and we don't require the account, but this is required account because the data till here has to be pushed to this SQL server inside. So for that, this needs an account, right?
Okay,
Makes sense?
understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So any questions till now on creating a pipeline? Okay, let me just go ahead and discuss this topic as well for today. So we are, I mean, we were, what is the main thing that we have to focus before creating a pipeline? That is gathering a requirements, right? What is, how do we gather a requirement? Let's say I'm saying that I need uh, a source and destination like Salesforce and Workday, and I have to transfer the data from Salesforce and Workday as example. I mean, I was telling you this earlier, right? What do I need? Endpoint credentials. Endpoint credentials is nothing but the metadata or the username and passwords that require. Correct? What is the source and destination? And source and destination, if there are any tables, let's say a database. A database will have the data stored in format of tables. Correct? So if I want to push the data from Salesforce to Workday, okay, let's say if the data is in table format, what is the table name? Or let's say if the object, if the data is in JSON, I will let you know what is JSON. If the data is a JSON object, what is the object name that needs to be migrated to source and target? Okay, so once I get, so from source I have to read, and from in destination I have to push. So what are the different type of operations that I have to consider, right? Do I need to create the record in the destination? Do I read the data from source? Do I update it at destination? Do I need to delete at destination? Do I need to upsert? Upsert is nothing but create a record if not present. If it is already present, update it. This is called upsert. So it's a combination of create plus update. Create plus update is equal to upsert. So if the record is already present, update it. If the record is not present in the destination, create it. So any transformations and conditions that we need to apply in between the snaps. Make sense? How do we gather a requirement to create a pipeline? So my example is I want to create a Salesforce to Workday data connections or data transfer. So I need authentication for the source. I need an authentication for the destination, right? Authentication in the sense I have to create an account. I need the metadata or username password details. That is one thing. The second thing is, if we go and open the snap, we will be able to understand what is the object or table that we want to get the data or push the data. Okay. For example, there is this, for now, just showing, I am just trying to show you an example. There is this Redshift to NetSuite. Okay. So if I open this Redshift select, there are different attributes and they have asked this table name here. So for example, they have given this table name also as an example, but likewise, there will be different tables and objects that needs to be communicated. So we need to understand that as well. Okay. And the next section is what is the sort of operations that we need as a source. Let's say if we are trying to read a data from the source, we definitely need a read or a select snap, right? In the destination, we will be able to create, update, delete, upset, transformations and conditions. What are the different types of transformations that we need to do between source and target? What is the source here? Redshift. What is the destination here? NetSuite. So there are different snaps that we have added in between just to have it, just to do some transformations in the middle with the data that is from Redshift. Okay, this is how we gather the requirements to create a Snaplogic pipeline. Before creating a Snaplogic pipeline, it is mandatory that we should gather all these informations. What are the target and source system that we need to configure and everything like such. Okay, make sense?
So Manoj, what is basic difference between the upsert and the creation of the
So if we
operation?
select only create,
Hmm.
okay, it will go and create.
Okay.
If we select an update, what is an update? Update means the record should be there. It will go
Yeah.
and update some fields, right?
Yeah.
Upset is the combination of create and update. So if we
So
keep
yeah.
upset itself, let's say in the target, the record is not there, it will, this offset option, what it will do is it will try and check whether that record coming from source is available or not. If it is available, it will go and update. If it is not there, it will go and create. So offset is a combination of create and update. You can just Google it for yourself. I mean, for more information, it's just a basic information that I'm trying to give. I mean, you can, these we call it as CRUD operations: create, update, delete. CRUD
So it
operations.
is a put put API type.
Yeah, that is on API level. This is on database level.
Yeah.
Upset we call them.
Okay.
Put also we can say, but you can research for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So by having this, I'll just take a halt for today's session. I just want you to give a task on this. So I will give you a scenario. Okay, everyone. I just want you to give me the requirements or gather a requirements and provide it to me in the tomorrow session. Okay, we were discussing about, or I am showing a pipeline you from last few days, that file to SQL Server pipeline, right? Give me the requirements, gather the requirements of that pipeline. I have just built a sample pipeline there. Don't worry about the transformations and everything. Try to give me the other 3 points. There are 4 points here. Let me reshare my screen. So the task for you here is, there is this file to SQL Server Snap. Okay. I want you to gather the requirements and give me what are all that are needed. Don't worry about these 3 snaps. You don't require to give me that. Okay. The transformations and conditions. Okay. What are the endpoints that are required for me to read a file and to write a data into the database? Okay. Give me in source, what do I need if I want to read a file? And in target, what can be the operations that I can do to insert a data into the database? Which operation that I can select from all these to insert a data into the database?
So to insert the data, we use the create option also, and
I don't require now. Just research and come tomorrow and gather the requirements for this pipeline and let me know.
okay, okay.
Okay. What is the source and destination here? Keep that in mind. What are the sort of accounts that I needed for this? I mean, basic authentication. I mean, I don't require anything advanced. What do I require for this? Okay. And what are the different things that I require from source to target, and what operation can be done? Just analyze this. We can discuss this tomorrow. Just analyze and let me know. Okay. What is the source and destination here? What are the different configurations that can be done here? What are the sort of accounts that we are needed here? What are the sort of operations that we can do here? Likewise. Okay. Question yourself and come back with your requirements.
Okay.
Any questions we have?
Yeah. Uh, I want to ask how many versions can we create of the pipelines? Is there any limit to
Sorry,
creation?
Shashank, can you just repeat your question, please?
How many versions
We
can
can
we
create
create?
any number. I mean, there is no limit. You can create. So just one thing that we need to remember is, once you delete a pipeline, all those versions, let's say you have created 100 versions, all those will be gone.
Okay.
So when we restore it, so versions will not restore.
You can restore until and unless you have a pipeline. Did I answer your question, Shivam?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is a good practice for when we work to the existing pipeline. So we have to create the version first.
Maybe you could do that. I mean, it's a development practice also,
Hmm.
just to have the basic version available, so that in future, let's say, okay, this is something that I have done, I don't want this, you can just revert, right, the basic version and work on this, take that forward from there. Likewise.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, team?
Yeah. So now we are on the stage. So when we have to create the pipeline by itself, so when will we got our IDs for practicing more better?
We will let you know. We are working on that actually. So Prashant will give you the further information on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Manoj, what in case like we wanted to check or see the logs, then how we can see like, meanwhile for QA or dev or production level?
What sort of logs you want it here? I mean, logs in the sense, can you please elaborate?
I mean, like whatever we create the pipeline or done the
So,
requirement. So in
you know,
case we got the any errors or like was any changes, so we want to check the logs. I mean,
yeah, see, that's where the dashboard comes. You can see the activity I said, right? You know, the statistics. So statistics is nothing but the logs that they are showing in the dashboard. Within some time period, you can go and see whether that pipeline is failed or it has some problem. Let's say externally you want to write some logs, some transaction log or error log according to your coding needs. You can write it out and you can push it to some place where also you can save it in the SLDB itself. I mean within the Snaplogic, but that is not recommended. For testing purpose, you can save it and you can see it. I mean externally you can add it to your pipeline development. But let's say on the Snaplogic level, you want to see the pipeline errors and everything. Okay, you can see it
Okay.
on the dashboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is shareable, like if in any cases we want to share the
Yeah,
logs.
there is this JSON also you can download. You can
Okay.
see.
Okay.
Share in the sense you cannot share it to outside. I mean that is something.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I mean related to like if I wanted to share QA to develop dev team or dev to production, so in any cases.
Yeah. I mean everyone will have the dashboard, so we basically don't share anything. We just go to the dashboard and see what is the error. We will try to take the screenshot and propagate that to the next team. They will understand
Okay.
that.
Okay. Got
We
Yeah,
don't
got
require a particular log for that actually, so that is fine.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, team? So as I said, just try to gather the requirements for that file to SQL Server pipeline. What did I do? What sort of configurations that I needed from source and target? What sort of accounts can be created? You don't need to require. You don't need to put all the things into your mind that what I mean there could be different accounts or something. Just give me what can be created and how we can create a pipeline. Just gather the information, the 3 points. Don't stress on the transformations part. Just try to look at the 3 parts that we have discussed. What sort of operations can be used, create, update, or upset? What will be the best set to insert the data into the SQL Server insert? So okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Sonali, you have question?
Yes, sir. Sir, what is the role of link snaps in the creating the pipeline?
Without linking the pipeline, without linking the snaps, you won't be developing a pipeline. Without linking, the data will not transfer from one snap to another snap. You should link the pipeline, then only the data from first snap or the first snap to next snap will transfer. That's where you need to link every snap.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So Manoj, when we shared the some pipeline within our project or the it's outside from the project,
Right.
so we share the configuration too or only share with the snap.
So basically, let's say I said these organizations, right? So
Yeah.
like from development organization to test QA to production, right?
Hmm.
So the authentication will be different from each environment. I mean, QA will be using a different account, production will be altogether in a different account, and UBT also. So most probably we will not be sharing it, but we will let you know the team who will create that further before moving the pipeline, so that they will have that account ready according to that environment. Then we will configure that in the Snap.
Okay.
Yeah, we will not propagate that mostly, but let's say if the credentials are same, if we feel that both of them are the development environments, we will select that as well while moving the pipeline or migrating the pipeline.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Team, any more questions? Okay.
I am good. Yeah.
Okay. Prashant, I think we can wind up if.
Yes, Manoj.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks Manoj.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.